Hello, my name is Mark Fennell, and I am going to do my next video in the series on atomic structure and processes. I'll remind you that I have made a lot of discoveries on the nature of the atom, the structure of the atom, and processes of the atom, which includes the orbits and include the photon absorption emission processes. This will be detailed in my new book called The New Model of the Atom, which should be available 2017. Let's talk about photon emission. Previous to this process, the electron will absorb, a photon will come into an electron will then gain more energy and leap to a new level, a new orbit. At some point, the photon leaves and the electron drops back down. And that's the part I want to talk about. There are a lot of books that state this incorrectly. Even when you go back to some of the scientists in the 30s, 40s, who, were unsure about this idea. When Bohr talked about the leaps back in the early days, probably like in his 20s, because he first proposed it in 1915, I think. There were some scientists I've read who said, well, how does the electron know what photon to emit in order to drop down to a certain level? And I thought, that's reverse. That's not the way it is. The electron does not decide to go to a new level. The electron emits a photon first, then drops down to a new level. Similarly, in many of the textbooks, even some high school textbooks, you will see the electron drops down and emits a photon. What the textbooks really should say is the photon is emitted and then the electron drops down. That's reverse order. It's not that the electron drops down and a photon is emitted. It's the photon is emitted and the electron drops down. Very important in the logical process to understand that. See, where did the electron get its new energy from? The photon. The photon comes in with its additional electric and magnetic energy. This magnetic energy makes the electron go faster and zoom up further in space. And the photon is reassembled. The energy is reattached and emitted. Well, guess what? Now, a lot of that magnetic energy and electrical energy that drove the electron has left. There's less energy to drive the electron. It can no longer balance the gravity strings at that level. So what does it do? It has to drop back down to the level at which it can balance with the gravity strings, right? And that's the way the photon emission works. Photon emission, then the electron drops back down. And where does the electron drop back down to? What orbit? It'll depend on how much energy is left. How much energy is left depends on how much the photon took with it. Okay? So, again, the order. Think about the order. It's not that the electron chooses to drop down. It's not that the orbit is unstable. It's that a photon is emitted. And depending on the energy taken out with the photon, what's left is how far down the electron will fall down to. Simple, but clarifying the logic. Again, this and many more solutions to puzzles of the atom will be in my new book, The New Model of the Atom, coming up in 2017. I encourage you to read it. Learn a lot from it. Thanks.